In this lesson, we're going to do a really quick and easy example to get this bone in the middle to always stick smack bang in the middle of these two targets here. It's only going to copy the location in this demonstration, but I am going to issue you with a challenge at the end. So let's get started. So here's our starting file, and this is the file that you're going to use to start this exercise on. I've got our bone here, and I want to add 2 extra bones. So I'm just going to duplicate this one here, and anyway will do, but I'm just going to pop him over here. And then I want to duplicate that same bone onto the other side. Whoops, got him in the wrong spot there, and that will do. So now we have 3 bones, and when I added it that way, there's actually no parenting setup. The next thing we're going to do is name all of our bones. This one is going to be the owner because it's going to receive our constraints. This one's going to be our first target, so I'm going to call this target underscore 1. And over here, this is going to be called target underscore 2. And now we want our owner bone to follow along 50%. We need to add some constraints for that. So let's jump into pose mode. So when we add the constraint, we select the target first, then the owner. We use our shortcut, Control-Shift-C, and then we want to choose copy location. You'll see it instantly jump over there. We can leave everything at the default setting, world space, but I am going to mute it just so that it jumps back to the middle and I can select it again. So now we add our second constraint, select this guy who wants a constraint. I do, Control-Shift-C, and choose copy location. And now that is snapping over the top of that one. But if I turn this one back on, you'll notice it has no effect. And as I've already explained a few times, and that is because this constraint is being totally overridden by this one. So how do we get it to the 50% mark? We want to change this down to 0.5. Now, wherever we move our targets, the owner bone is going to sit in the middle. Now, before I issue you a challenge, I want to explain why we don't want this first one to be 50%. You notice why it's now it's favoring this side, and also why the order matters. All right, so here's an expertly drawn explanation of what's going on. So our owner bone in the correct order is going to follow along 100%. So the bone will be in this location. Then we want to go back towards the target 2 at 50%. It will always put it in the middle. So that is the correct way. Let's have a look if we do it in the wrong order, where we have the first constraint at 50%. So it's going to go towards this one at 50%, which will put it there. Then we're going back towards this guy at 100%, which actually puts us in this location. So that's what happens if we do the wrong order. And what happens if we incorrectly do a 50-50 split on both of these constraints? We'll go this way at 50%, and then we go back towards the other target at 50%, which will basically probably put it around here, which I'm sure you'll agree is not the correct spot. Ba-boom. So hopefully you know why we have to set the first one to be 100% and then the second one to be 50%. But as I said in the intro and a few times in between, I'm going to issue you with a challenge. At the moment, this setup only copies the location at 50% between these 2 bones. My challenge to you is to create a setup like this, except have the bone in the middle copy the other transforms as well. That is the rotation and the scale, not just the location. So that's the challenge. Good luck, and I hope you find the short way of doing this. That's a little bit of a hint.